Some big news and celebrations for the West Bloomfield wrestling team, who just became district champions for the 2025-26 season. A monumental celebration for all of these athletes who've worked hard, pushed their bodies, and excelled in their athleticism. Joining us now on the Splash Live to share more on the team's highlights this year is the coach of the West Bloomfield High School wrestling team, Ryan Ridenour. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning to you as well. First and foremost, congratulations on winning the division championship, an incredible honor. What do you believe were the key factors behind your team's success this season?
Well, I've got to give credit where credit's due. We do have a great coaching staff. Our head coach, Greg Alessi, has been here for 30 some odd years. He's gotten all these lifetime achievement awards. Coach Nader, Coach Acosta. And then the other thing that I think has really been a huge factor is about 4 years ago, we started a youth program that's, I think, K through 6. And that youth program now is starting to pay dividends because people are coming in as freshmen and they're, you don't have to teach them the fundamentals. And some of them are even in the varsity lineup. And so that has really built us up a lot over the past 2 years. So I would give major credit to our new youth wrestling club for sure.
Wow, so already you're coaching a lot of young wrestlers who've taken that early information, those early skills, and it's starting to pay off as they start to make their way to the high school level. I mean, that is incredible. I mean, what is it like to really see the development of these wrestlers over time?
I've seen it a lot this season, especially because for the first time in my coaching career, we have 1 or 2 seniors on the team. So most of these guys are very green. They're very young. And so a lot of their development, obviously they're growing as wrestlers, but they also, I'll say there were some maturity. we realized how young of a team it was maturity level wise in the beginning of the year. And they've grown a lot, not just as wrestlers, but they're taking things more seriously. They're mentoring other people on the team. It's been really great to see.
I mean, that's what it's all about. You see all that hard work pay off and these wrestlers giving back by helping their fellow teammates. I mean, that's always great to see. But I'd imagine when it comes to a sport like wrestling, there can be a lot of pressure, especially as you start to get up and up to that top level. How did your wrestlers handle the pressure that comes with being title contenders?
The personality of this team is that they just don't back down from a challenge. They knew going into last week that we had won the district title the last 4 years and the league title the last 3 years. And so we told them the expectation was we got to keep this train rolling. And they embraced it. They embraced the challenge. And that's really what we try to impart on them in practice, is that you don't back away, you don't shy down, regardless of the level of difficulty or what's coming at you.
Embrace the pressure and tackle it head on. That's perfect. And wrestling, now, I'm not a wrestler myself, but I know wrestling is both physically and mentally demanding. It can really put a tax on everything with your body. What lessons do your athletes learn from the sport that extend beyond the mat?
You're absolutely right. It is a brutal sport. There's a quote I love from wrestling great Dan Gable that says, "Once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy." And it sounds kind of cheesy, but really the lessons that they're taking are perseverance. When things get hard, you don't quit. You keep going, and you persevere. I've seen articles where people from Fortune 500 companies have written, here's why it's a good idea to hire wrestlers, right? Because wrestlers know what it takes to get through something that's really, really tough. So we teach perseverance in and outside of the wrestling room for sure. That's a big focus.
Perseverance, a big focus. Awesome. Now, when it comes to a sport like wrestling, you do have a wrestling team, but this is a sport that often highlights individual achievement. How do you balance individual goals with team success in a sport like wrestling?
People do think of us as an individual sport, but we always say, and we always tell the guys, nobody gets there alone. When we have states in a few weeks, there's going to be some people that win state championships. They didn't do it by themselves. They had a room full of people who were pushing them and who were wrestling partners with them every day. So it does highlight individual strength and team strength, but you will not get there by yourself. You've got to have good people pushing you and picking you up off the ground when you're having those hard days, for sure.
You're absolutely right. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with West Bloomfield High School wrestling coach Ryan Ridenour, talking about his team's success in becoming district champions for the 2025-26 school season. Now, Ryan, you just talked about a lot about how these wrestlers really rely on each other and how chemistry plays a huge role in making this team successful. What have you seen with the team chemistry this season?
The team chemistry, they have a really good mix of messing around with each other like kids do, but also when it's time to get serious, when there's a big dual meet or something that's really important happening, they will rise to the occasion and kind of flip that switch. But, you know, they have fun. They love to try and suggest like different mat games and workout styles for us to do. So they really do act like a bunch of kids together in a room, but they will, like I said, flip that switch and get serious when the time comes for it. And that's what we want. We don't want people who are acting like robots 100% of the time. We want them to have fun with each other. But when it's time to get serious, get down to business.
I mean, hey, you are working with high school students. There's bound to be at least a little bit of tomfoolery mixed in with all the success, but you're right. They lock in when the moment comes. Of course, no season for any sport is perfect. How do you prepare athletes to bounce back from tough losses during such a high-stakes season?
As a coach, as a wrestling coach, you almost have to be like a grieving counselor for some of these kids, because if you think about a sport like basketball or football, there could be a tough loss, but maybe you did everything you were supposed to do, so it doesn't really hurt that much. But if you lose out there on the wrestling mat, it's just you. You win, it's all your credit. You get the credit for it, and if you lose, it's all your fault. So we've got to build up the kids and say, look, this does not define you. You've learned something, right? Every loss is a lesson. You learned not to do this in this situation or something like that. And every single loss will make you better as a competitor, better as a human being when you take that loss with grace.
Every loss is a lesson. That is the words of a true coach. And that's the big thing with a sport like this, because the players do all the work, or the players do a lot of the action out on the field, but it's the coaching that really helps them excel towards the next level, which is what you and Greg do. What would you say you have to say about your coaching strategies and your leadership throughout this championship run?
We try to be consistent. Wrestling is a sport where you can't just show somebody a move and then they got it and now they just go and do it. You've really got to day in and day out have what we call like a wrestling curriculum. Make sure we focus on things that are effective and, you know, getting rid of maybe some of the outdated stuff that doesn't work anymore, and just be that consistency day in and day out, so the kids know, you know, by the time they've gone through a couple of months of practice, there's certain things they should be doing on the mat that are as automatic as tying their shoes, because they've got that muscle memory. So we're trying to just be consistent with our message, even though we have 4 coaches, to be consistent with the same message to the kids about work ethic, about what you should do, and the attitude that you should have when you're out there and how you should wrestle.
That's right. Make sure you're all on the same page and put those methods into action. I got a couple more questions before we wrap things up, Ryan. When it comes to your guys' success, I'd imagine support also plays a huge role in that. What ways has the support from the West Bloomfield school community, how has that contributed to this team's success?
Oh, it's been a huge part of it. Our parent groups are amazing. We've got 37, 38 people on the team, so there's a lot of great parents that will, for example, we have an all-day tournament on a Saturday. They have a food table set up so the kids can feed themselves throughout the day. Same thing if there's a dual meet on a Wednesday night, those parents are always there to support us, but then also to support their kid as they're out there, because it's not an easy sport. The larger school community has done a great job highlighting our success, especially with the recent addition of girls wrestling. We feel like they've been getting some good coverage there, so we appreciate that a lot.
All right, love to hear of everything the wrestling team is doing. Once again, big congratulations on all of their success this season. Last question for you, Ryan. Looking ahead, how do you build on this momentum and continue developing the program for future seasons to come?
Well, I mentioned that we have that youth program, the club at the middle school. And so we actually, I can't take credit for this idea. This was a great idea, but it wasn't mine. We brought the 8th graders in to watch us in that district championship dual meet where we won, and had them take a picture with the guys and everything. So we really, with the future, we're bringing in another round of high quality young kids that are going to be freshmen next year. And we keep building every year on top of that. And yeah, the future looks really bright.
Love to hear it. Once again, congratulations to this wrestling team for all their success this season. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you so much for having me.